Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm my husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews.
And if you like listening to audiobooks, click the link in the description for a free 30-day trial with Audible. And while you're at it, click the Rakuten link for a $10 credit while shopping online.
Let's get it going. Married at First Sight reunion part 2. Part 1 ended off with a bang as we saw Chris walk out as he didn't want any smoke, no smoke whatsoever from Pastor Dwight. He was asking for the smoke in the parking lot, but it's amazing how he asked for the smoke in the parking lot, grabbed his backpack and went straight to his car.
You mean he was asking for the smoke on the way to the parking lot?
Oh yeah, he was asking for the smoke on the way to the parking lot.
Walking away from Pastor Dwight.
Walking away from Pastor Dwight. If he wanted that smoke, he would have walked towards Pastor Dwight.
Or at least waited at the door.
At least waited. But either way, neither one of them wanted to smoke. Pastor Dwight wasn't going to fight.
Nah.
It was Chris who was going to fight. Neither one of them wanted that. Pastor Dwight wanted to make sure he could still sell books and live holy and acceptable life.
I said don't have nothing to do with no books.
Oh, he wanted to live holy.
You ain't gonna scar my
He wanted to live holy
character.
and acceptable on TV. I'm not saying he's not living holy and acceptable off of TV, but he wanted to definitely make sure that the 1.6 million people who watched the reunion didn't see him live indignant like they saw Chris. But let's get started. We started off this episode of Married at First Sight with Chris and Paige.
Yes.
With Chris going to his car, Chris having his backpack going to his car, and Paige following after him as she did all season long.
But trying to encourage him to come back, and why you let him get you like that? Get you out of character. You can't do that.
And Chris was like, "I'll come back." After he talked to production for a while, he held things up again. I did look.
We don't know how long. Obviously, not 6 hours this time.
We don't know how long, but guess what? Chris controlled production all season long. He controlled the show by telling Paige to take her mic off, by holding up the reunion. Holding up the decision day for 6 hours. He making them wait past the cow, wait on him for a long time. He did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it in this season of Married at First Sight, and they was at his mercy. But nonetheless, I digress. He finally comes back in after he says, "Only way I'll come back in if he," meaning Pastor Dwight, is no longer part of the reunion.
Right.
No longer part of the reunion. Pastor Dwight no longer is part of the reunion. So they finally work it out where Pastor Dwight leaves and he's no longer a part. Paige talks to Chris in the car, and Chris comes back into the building, and him and Kevin Frazier continue to have the discussion. Kevin asked him, what made you so upset? He said, "I thought you guys would come and hang out and still be friends." He said, "Man, that used to be
hug it out.
Hug it out."
But that's one of the things that Chris said in the car, and I think he said it when he was talking to Kevin too. Like, he's talking down to me, talking condescending. I saw none of that. What he said was, "You do not take correction well," and he was right. Nothing that he said was condescending. You just don't like nobody calling you on your crap.
But Chris said, "I don't."
Well, you don't like Pastor Dwight calling you on your crap.
Right, because Chris said, "I don't mind people be calling me out. I've been corrected before millions of times. I don't have a problem with that." It's, again, I think it's certain people, and I think how you do it. And I think how Pastor Dwight did it was the way that Chris was like, "Dog, here? We could have talked all these other times, whether Pastor Dwight called him or not. We could have met up. We probably still got the same circle of friends. We could have did it. You're coming on the reunion show, which I brought you on. I introduced you to this crowd, to this audience, to these people, and you're going to try to correct me." Not saying right, wrong, or different, but that was his mindset. I've been corrected, which we all know Chris has been corrected a lot because he's always doing stuff to need correction. But I think when you deal with somebody who's dealing with, I think one of the viewers talked about it, that they think Chris has ODD. Oppositional defiant disorder. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm just saying one of you guys commented and said that you think he has ODD. Well, if that's the case, I'm not saying. Then you have to do it in a respectful manner and handle it in a correct way. And address certain issues a correct way when you're correcting somebody. He don't want to be embarrassed. Again, even though he embarrasses himself, he didn't want Pastor Dwight to correct him on TV, which drew up that spirit inside of him, which made him go off.
But he didn't even correct him. He said...
Right, I know that.
He said you had a problem with correction. He wasn't correcting you.
I know that, you know that, but the perception of Chris was that he was correcting him in front of 1.6 million people. And so he, you know,
I'm correcting you about your correction.
I'm correcting you about your correction. Anyway, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, Chris,
but he apologized.
He apologized again.
To Paige. He apologized to Kevin, you know, for coming out his character, basically showing his tail, you know. I mean, it's typical.
And then he sets up Paige's, he sets up an opportunity for Paige to get her own show. That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I saw it. He said, I believe Paige deserves a redo with the process. To me, I took it as, oh, you try to set Paige up so she can get a redo, get a special, get her own show, that Lifetime may hook her up. This is the way that you can ask her to forgive you because you want to give her a new show, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just took it that way. I don't know how you guys took it. He like, you know.
It kind of did sound like
it sounded like they said, like, you know, Paige needs a redo. She messed up. And Paige said, she agreed, yeah, I think I do need a redo because I didn't find love. And it sounded like she both tried to set up a show, dog. Mm-hmm. And just my opinion, you know, Chris leaves. You know, Kevin basically, you know, Chris, all right, we done with you. Basically.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming back. We wrapped it up. I want to take some time and talk to Paige by herself.
Which, I don't know. They still, he said, y'all still technically married. Yes, we still technically married. We both are still going to go get the divorce. Yes, we still going to go get the divorce. So they both agreed that they were going to get a divorce, that it was going to work out. And he wanted to talk to Paige, some one-on-one time with Paige, her and Kevin Frazier. Mm-hmm. And talk about her traumatic experience. Talk about the events that she went through, you know. And he brought Paige's friend Nancy out.
Who, Nancy? Nancy, the one that at the reception, Chris was like, she's not my type. She's not a trophy wife. Not saying nothing's wrong with her, but basically I wouldn't have picked her. And so Kevin's like, you know, you hear this at the reception, but you didn't tell your friend.
Yeah. Dog.
Like, basically why you didn't tell your friend. And, you know, Nancy was like I wouldn't want to tell her that day. And Paige was like, I wouldn't have wanted to hear that. Like, that's like, wow. So you go into your wedding night mad. Ready to fight. Well, I mean, Paige would have been ready to fight. We got that from the whole thing. But the other thing Kevin talked about was like, okay, so, well, I think Nancy said it. I didn't know it was such a traumatic experience for her that she was going through all this. And it was like, you know, basically, why didn't you tell your friends? You didn't talk to your friends. And Nancy was like, because she know the type of friend I am. And Paige is more gracious than me. Basically, I would have came for dude.
I'd have said it
We would have came for dude.
She's like, oh, we would have came. I still might want to see him.
I would have stepped to him.
I might still want to see him in the alley now. I might want to see Chris. Yo, she was like, I wanted to throw a shoe at him backstage. You know, she was.
Yeah, she was waiting. She was waiting for him while he was, you know,
having his tirade, his tantrum.
Yeah, she was like, that was poised to come. All Paige had to do was say like, yes, get him.
You know, one thing Paige said, you know, before Nancy came out when Kevin was talking to her, she said, I am strong, I am smart, I'm not what people think I am. I wanted to commit to the process. I wanted to, you know, I came on here to be married, and I want to commit to a process. And I'm sitting here, and I'm listening to her, and I'm like, yo, PR really got you good, too. PR team hooked you up. Because let's be honest. Committing to the process of married at first sight doesn't mean you have to lower your values. And I'm not saying she has low self-esteem, but and maybe a bit editing. But again, most people would have gave him a piece of her mind. We never really see her give him a piece of mind, like, you know what, don't treat me like that, don't talk to me. She even mentioned that he didn't manipulate her. She went because she was committed to the process, that she wanted to do these things. So again, if you're smart, you're committed to the process, you have high self-esteem, then you address him in that way, like, you know what, this is a show, because it's not like a real marriage. And I'm saying this, you know, you have an 8-week window to either say yes or no, right? Mm-hmm. So guess what? You're not going to treat me like this for 8 weeks. For these 8 weeks, we're going to do this, and this. And at the end of the 8 weeks, we can say bye. We can say see you later. Sayonara. We ain't got to be friends anymore. But while we're in this process, this is how I expect you to treat me. I'm not going to put up with this. And you never really saw that. And I think that's what Kevin was telling her too. The fans are not calling you stupid. They're not calling you that you got a low self-esteem. Well, not me personally. Some of you are. Some of you are. Some of you just said like she just plumb out dumb. But at least stand up for yourself, girl. Say something.
Well, I want to say, I don't think you said PR did a number with her, but no, based on everything they said, and Nancy basically said it too, like, this is not, and I want to say this right, this is not abnormal behavior from Paige. Meaning, she's always gracious. She always gives people the benefit of the doubt. She's going to be a little more kinder. She's not going to be the one to jump on you like me. Nancy basically said that. That's how she is. She handled it how I expect Paige would. You know, like, you got friends that are your sitcoms. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the crew.
You got your
everybody in the crew.
You got your hitmen.
Ain't the you know, the jump on you type. So Paige is the friend that she's the, oh, you know, work with them, try, you know. And so that's what Paige basically said.
And Nancy's the guy that's person to meet you in the dark and with the Timbs.
Right, but Paige has been saying that the whole time. That's why I said I don't think it's a PR thing. That's how she is. She had committed to the process. Again, of course, she talked about handling it as a woman of God. You know, she probably, her mom was probably type kind of like mine, like, you want to be ladylike, maintain your a certain level of dignity, and so she won't go show her tail to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? But it was a little extreme and overboard, and she realized that it came across like that to people. That people thought she was a sucker. You know, that she had low self-esteem, that he was getting over, she was dumb, and all of that. So she realized and recognized that that's what the people watching the show felt, and she wanted to let us know that's not me.
But I hope she understands why people felt that way.
I think she did.
That people felt that way because of her behavior. We don't know Paige. We don't know Paige Banks as a personal person. We just know what we see on Lifetime for those 2 hours on Wednesday nights. You know what I'm saying? So what we saw was a young lady who was broken, a young lady who was hurt, a young lady who found out a day or two into her wedding, into her honeymoon, that the guy that she was supposed to be married to for the rest of her life have a baby on the way, and he don't like her anymore. He don't like her. He never really liked her. He wasn't attracted to her. He wants to go back with his baby mama. You know? And so there lies the struggle that she's having. Like, okay, I feel cheated. I feel like I've been in this process, but I've never really been in this process because the guy that I was in the process with really never committed to me. He didn't even move in with me. And so she has all this going on, and to her credit, she went through it. Mm-hmm. She didn't bow out gracefully. She didn't pull out, you know what, cut cameras after week 5 or week 3. She went through it and she lived out life. And guess what? It's never going to go away. We're going to be talking about Paige and Meredith Fights First Sight Season 12 for a long time. Because
I would not want to live in infamy like that.
But she's going to live in infamy until she can either get her a spinoff or she can find love with somebody else.
I hope, obviously Jasmine and Will was not that extreme. But I hope, like Jasmine, that she comes back from this and gets what it is that she wants.
I hope she gets. I want her to get healed and
definitely that too. Definitely that too.
You know, her friend Nancy said something that, you know, maybe Paige will find somebody who help her unpack her baggage. She doesn't need a man to help her unpack her baggage. Paige needs to let go of her baggage herself, get rid of that baggage, and come into a new relationship with no baggage whatsoever. Mm-hmm. When you have so much baggage when you come into relationships, you can't make that relationship successful because you unpacking and you hanging on to so much baggage from the past relationship. I'm sorry, I don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be the next guy who dates Paige. You want to be the guy after the next guy who dates Paige, or after Paige gets therapy, because the next guy who dates Paige is gonna have to go through all this.
Yeah. So we're finally over to Chris and Paige.
We're finally over Chris and Paige show. So
next, just as much of
my couple right here,
combustible situation was Hayley and Jacob. They talked to Hayley before with Father Women together, and now we finally get Hayley and Jacob together.
Yeah, you know, Hayley comes out, Jacob comes out. You know, Jacob had matching shoes to Hayley dress. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Mm-hmm. The red shoes with the red dress. That don't mean anything as far as that goes. I just wanted to point.
Just because they have not talked to each other since Decision Day. Yeah. They have not seen each other since Decision Day. Yeah, no.
Nah, they remember she said he's blocked. He blocked her, or they blocked from each other, whatever case may be. So Kevin is trying to be nice. He's trying to open up. He's like, yo, you know what, Jacob, you want to compliment Hayley on the way she looks? And it was crickets.
He's like,
She was like, He was like, no woo whatsoever. Hayley mentioned that she had been to 2 more weddings since the decision day. That, you know, she has been involved in 2 more weddings.
And she's better she realized, you know, I'm a good support person.
No.
I'm a good support person. Like, me and my husband were like, I promise you, I don't know that many people that got married. And through the years we know a lot of people. But to be a bridesmaid
and like 17,
participate
18?
in that many weddings, like, that's like unheard of.
Her closet is nothing but bridesmaid dresses.
That's unheard of.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But man, so they get to talking, and you know, and Hayley was like, you know, she had hope at the start of the wedding, at the start of the marriage. Now, this is where I was like, you know what, Hayley had no hope. At what part of the marriage did she have hope at start? The day one? Because when we see him on the honeymoon, it's like she ain't got nothing to do with this dude. So is it like when she first got married, like when they first walked down the aisle in the reception, she had hope?
No, because they showed the scene where they kissed at the wedding. She actually kind of drew back then. At the reception, it was like,
He's quirky, he did the 80s stuff.
When she went to see his house.
When she slept with him.
I don't even know what a members only jacket is.
She met with his family.
I'm sorry. I gotta say this. How's you born in 1991? And you don't know what a members only jacket is. Members only did not stop in the 80s.
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
Maybe she just never hung around those people who had members only jackets. She's very astute.
Anyway, like, I was like, go ahead.
Look, but she said she was hopeful for the start of the marriage. In her eyes, she felt like she was down for the start of the marriage, which I didn't see it. I don't think anybody else saw it. I think from day one we were like, you know what? She again, we said she's a Christian. She wasn't attracted to Jacob when he walked down the aisle. When she saw him walk down the aisle. When she walked down the aisle and saw him standing up there, she wasn't attracted to him. So they continued to have a discussion, and Jacob's like, you know, Jacob's being petty. He's just like, you know what, whatever. Whatever. How did you know, you didn't do anything. Jacob shared that he himself was himself the whole time throughout the marriage.
Right.
He didn't change. Again, that was the problem though. Because Kevin asked, he said, you didn't try to romance her? You just stopped. Wasn't there no kind of romance in this thing? You just was yourself.
Because he said, but basically it was like, I'm going to interpret Jacob speak. What was there romance when I knew she wasn't feeling me? And I get it. You know, if he felt like it was some hope, like he was like, she despised me. She was like, maybe she didn't despise me as a person, but she definitely didn't like me as a husband. You know, she made the point that there was no attraction, which Kevin was like, everything for you was, okay, the sky is blue, but she's not attracted to me. The grass is green,
but she's not attracted to me.
Everything came back to that. But I understand what he's saying. It's like, his thing was, how can I try when you're telling me you're not? What can I do to make you attracted to me? Because you shut down. That was the, we got to do this fishbowl activity, which was later. We have to do this fishbowl activity, that hold hands the whole time. I don't really like holding hands.
I don't like cuddling.
She didn't like nothing.
She's like hugging strangers, but not him. Dr. Pepper said that too when they talked to the experts. Like, she wasn't committed.
Yeah, but his whole thing was like, I don't know what to do if you're not. And she said, and she kept telling me something was missing. So Kevin was like, what was it that was missing? She said, I tried the physical, I tried the emotional attraction, I tried the physical attraction. Basically, the something that was missing is I just don't like you. I'm not attracted to you at all. Which, we know that was the something that was missing. And
she didn't like his humor.
That's what I was going to say. She didn't like his humor. She didn't like his way of dress. But guess what? She could have, even though you didn't get his jokes, even though it wasn't necessarily funny, she was like, oh, Jacob, like, wow, just so you of you. You know, you can make it a joke yourself. But
some of his timing was bad. You talked about the fishbowl activities. Fishbowl activity, bonus footage they showed. the question was, what do you like about me? He said her kneecaps. Now, mind you, this might have been a point where he's already checked out. But he still said a kneecap. He didn't say it, but this was an opportunity for them to try to connect. And he said her kneecaps. He could have said, you got, I like your smile, or like your blue eyes, I like whatever the case may be. I like you when you're tanned. You know, I like your toes. I like your, you know, the way you treat your dogs. Anything, I like your kneecaps. Maybe, like Dr. Viv said, maybe he's in the kneecaps. I don't know. Maybe he likes kneecaps. It is what it is. But he didn't really try. Kevin said, and this is where I kind of disagree with Kevin, and I think you disagree with Kevin too. He said she tried because she slept with you.
Oh, yeah. He said that Hayley... he said, I never slept with anybody that I didn't like.
That wasn't trying.
Or, that I wasn't trying to like. That was her trying. No, it wasn't her trying. It was her trying out the sex. They was both drunk. She must have been particularly drunk. That's not trying. And you don't try. That's same thing with Chris. You don't start off on a foot trying to like somebody by entertaining sex.
Yeah.
That's not how because you building it on the wrong foundation. Because then all you like is the sex. You still don't like him.
She like him. But again, her thing was, Jacob's thing with her was like, you lied to me too much. Because they kept showing clips of Jacob telling her, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar. Which we find out later on, and if you watch Unfiltered throughout the season, you knew what the true story was. That the girls, it was a girls meetup. And so as a girl meetup, Eric happened to come downstairs. And they said, oh, well, why don't you stay with us? Then Eric texts Ryan, like, come downstairs.
No, Clara did.
Clara texts Ryan. Yeah, Clara texts Ryan, like, come downstairs, Eric with us. Eric comes down. Ryan comes down, hang out with him. You know, Vincent never got a text, so Vincent wasn't down there. But Hayley never texts Jacob, like, oh, the guys came down, so why don't you come downstairs?
Right, and that was the point that Jacob made. He was like, what I expected Hayley to do was, like Clara did Ryan. Hey, Eric came down. Yeah, it was just girls, but Eric came down. You ought to come down too. And he said that. You know, that was his thing. Like, you didn't even try to include me. When the guys did show up, you didn't even try to include me. Yeah. But Vincent could have very well said the same thing because Brianna didn't ask him. Or maybe Brianna did and Vincent was like, nah.
I gotta go ahead.
Yeah.
But again, he wouldn't let her articulate that when they was having a conversation. He flat out called her a liar. Oh, you're lying. That shows his insecurities. That showed that Jacob had some of his own issues and problems, and we know he said that because that's what happened to me in past relationships. So he took what he had from the past relationship and brought it into her relationship, and by calling her a liar and calling these names, it turned her off. She was already shaky anyway with the attraction, right? So she's trying to find someone. Use the word trying. She's trying to find something with him in this relationship, and you're calling her a liar and all this. If she wasn't attracted to you physically, now emotionally, she checked out. She's gone, way gone. And that's what happened to them. They got off the wrong foot early and can never get back on track. Yeah,
and that's what he said. You know, he tried to be playful with her. She was like, I didn't pick up any playfulness. Well, he was playful. It just wasn't in the way that you liked it. He got a dry sense of humor, sarcastic, you know. And that can be a turn off sometimes, but still. She said, you know, that... he said he did try to get to know Hayley and try to get closer, but she kept shooting him down. And that was true. She did. She shot him down.
Yeah, she shot him down. She didn't want I told you, at the point when he called her a liar, she was done. And when he called her out a name in that big fight they had, I mean, you're 2 days in or a day and a half in, and you have like a major blow up. She is like, yo, who is this dude? And I am out of here. And she never recovered again. You know, Jacob believed, you know, he dug in deep, man. It's like, look, he said this, the 8 weeks was 8 weeks of hell for him. It was 8 weeks of hell, and he claimed she hated him as a husband. But they knew a lot about each other. That's the thing. They knew a lot about each other. They had conversation and communicated, but she just did not like him. And it's okay.
And it's okay. And he said that too. Basically, I'm not her cup of tea. That's fine. That's fine. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it's fine. They're not gonna be best friends. They're not gonna be singing Kumbaya. They're not gonna be hanging out. They're not gonna be exchanging Christmas text messages or anything with each other. Jacob was basically, you know what? I'm glad it's over. You go your way, I go my way, and we can call it a day.
Well, the one thing is that Hayley did say, overall, he's a nice guy, basically, but he just wasn't for me.
Yeah, and after some consideration and some deep thought, Jacob said she is kind of driven. He said something earlier that was sarcastic, but I can't remember the sarcastic comment that he made.
Oh, was that during the thing, though? He said, what can you say about somebody who's just so awesome?
Yeah, what can you say something about somebody who's just so awesome? Then he come back and say, you know what? She's driven. Yo, I told you I'm here for the shadiness for Jacob.
But it's just, and I'm not trying to stereotype people, because not every. I don't know if it's an IT guy thing.
Yeah.
But we know people
who work in IT,
but know that their language of choice is sarcasm, and you can't be sarcastic all the time. And I think that was a turn off for Hayley. She just couldn't, and she couldn't feel him out. Like Dr. Viv said later, if you make have your little dry humor or sarcasm, you can at least chuckle or smile afterwards, so somebody knows you're joking.
Yeah, he didn't chuckle.
Yeah, she didn't. She missed it because it was like, I don't know.
But I mean, I'm jumping into the men's conversation too. But everybody else gets his humor.
Right.
It's like, yo, Vince, we ain't talking to the guys. Vince said he gets it. He like the one word described Jacob. He like funny. This dude's hilarious.
Right.
The rest of the guys get him. Jacob said everybody else gets it except for Hayley. So if everybody else gets his humor, that means you choosing not to get his humor.
Well, and I feel like maybe she's not cultured. Like, you haven't been around a lot of different people to fill out different personalities too. Like,
she made him stand on that side of the tracks.
And she just she just didn't like it. And I mean, I'm the type. The people we know that are like sarcastic all the time, it irritates me bad. It really does. But you have to, you redirect them. Like, oh yeah, no, yeah,
yeah.
you have to redirect them. But anyway.
So as I alluded to, we had the guys, just like the women did last week in Reunion Part 1, we had the guys have a conversation and talk. One of the first things they asked, do you guys miss the fact that Chris is not here? Which we know now, this is day 2 of shooting. Mm-hmm. Chris never came back to day 2. And Eric was like, he should have shown up on this day, but I at least to speak his truth, to speak his piece, to speak what's going on, I would have showed up.
Mm-hmm. And Vincent said the same thing.
Yeah, Vincent said the same thing. Vincent's like, I would have showed up just to speak my part, just share who I am. We find out the guys are just as close as the girls. They don't talk every day, but they do have a group chat.
Yes.
That they text in heavily.
And it's pretty strong. It'd be jumping.
Yeah, the group chat be jumping and it's pretty strong.
It's Ryan's jam. Oh,
yeah,
I don't want to give that away.
It's Ryan's jam. Yo, that was hilarious. I'm gonna have to go back and watch or go back and look at how many times he did say jam in a lot of these.
Yeah, because we never caught it, but anyway, we jumping ahead. But Vincent talks about Ryan being the hype man in the group.
Don't see it. If he's the hype man, he didn't show it on camera. He showed that he has that ability to be, but he didn't show it on camera. And I mean, I think there's a lot of things Ryan didn't show on camera, who Ryan really is. Look at him on Instagram, he's hilarious. He's a totally different guy on Instagram that he portrayed on the show. And so same as, Jake is who he is. You don't follow Jacob on Instagram, he's hilarious as well. Somebody
said this, they equated Hayley and Jacob to, and we've said it before too, to Christina and Henry.
Yeah.
Because if you follow Henry on Instagram, same thing. Like on the show, it was like, okay, obviously she kind of doled him out because on their reunion, they were like, Henry's hilarious. And on Instagram, he's hilarious. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, just maybe the personality didn't come in.
They don't like the dry.
It don't come out dry, but it don't come out in relationships. He says that Eric is the mellow guy. That Eric is the guy who's kind of laid back. Like, we saw that.
He's a pilot.
He's a pilot. He's a laid back guy. He's not going to make too many rocky waves. But, so Ryan mentioned that, him and Clara had, when they're moving into the house, when the question was asked, how you're adjusting to be married. Now, it's been a little time since being married, and how did you choose what went in the house? Ryan said, this was really unique. I never heard this. They had a draft. All right, I want to take this. The first round, let's take that. Second round, let's take this. Let's take a draft to go ahead and put things into their home. Mm-hmm. Which was
so it wasn't a lot of one person's more
Yeah.
than anything. Like that was his way of incorporating her into the house. But at the same time, you're not gonna come in here and take over.
You're not gonna take over.
That kind of.
But that's why when you get married, it's good to have, when you get to the point where you can do it, to have something together.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, most men, if the woman's moving into your house is not gonna be right for them. Your house is not gonna be right for her. I'm sorry. 95, 96, 97% of the men, if a woman moves into your house, she's changing something.
Mm-hmm.
Your decorations are not right. Your tables are not. Your whatever is off. She's changing something within the home because she want to make it give it her feel. And when speaking of that, we find out when Eric. We already knew that Eric and Virginia moved into the condo.
Two bedroom, two bathroom condo, and the second bedroom is
hers and the cats.
Her closet.
Her closet.
And then that cat's.
Yes.
Which means she's got hair all over her clothes.
It's all over the place. They just hit cat hair all over the place. But again, that's a place where she can mellow out and chill. And we saw a video of that last week where it's really real big and she can just relax and enjoy it.
And of course, we already know Brianna and Vincent. Vincent had to move his stuff in the pantry.
I wish somebody asked him what's in the pantry.
He didn't have to, but he opted to.
Yeah, he opted to because he said she gave up her apartment and whatever she wants in their apartment, she can have because she gave up hers. You know, they talked about how smooth Vinny is. Champagne Vinny is smooth. They say Champagne Vinny. They show a clip of Champagne Vinny making a s'mores for Brianna and rushing upstairs, giving it to her.
And then all the other guys were like, "What the heck? Okay, let's take a hint from Vincent." And they made their wives s'mores too. Yeah, they were like, Vinny laid not laid it on thick in a bad way. But he was coming with it. Okay?
Yeah, but Jake said something not on the show, but again on Instagram about the s'more situation that they should have showed to release the tape of Vinny trying a s'more for the first time. That he was like, oh my gosh, like he was so happy that he had a s'more for the first time that he like the reason he ran upstairs like Brianna, you gotta taste this. you got. So he got they didn't release that, but again, Jacob shared that part on his Instagram about Vincent in the s'more situation. So we have that there. So the men really had a good conversation with each other. They talked about just their relationship in general, how they're experiencing different things, and they showed the situation with the van and Chris.
Which, myself, I'm sure they already planned to do that anyway, but with him not being there to speak up for himself or...
this is where I wish he was there.
That's what I'm saying. And he said... on his Instagram, I should have showed up. Duh. I should have been there. Because I don't think it was right to talk about him without him being there. But they did kind of talk about it from their perspective. They didn't really...
It was right to bring it up because it was a major situation.
Oh, you had to bring it up, yeah.
Yeah, so they really didn't talk bad about it. We had to bring it up. The question was, as husband, what did you, when he was talking to your wives, what did you expect? What did you, what were you doing? And, Eric was like, I was getting upset. I'm not a fighter. I'm not of that nature, but I was getting upset and I wanted it to, basically wanted to handle it, stop it in one way, but he just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan, we didn't see much of Ryan say anything to Chris at all. Dude, don't talk to my wife like that. And maybe, because a lot of Chris's aggression really wasn't at Claire.
Right.
It was at Virginia.
Right. Well, especially on the van.
Especially on the van. It was at Virginia, because Virginia couldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. And so when you got somebody who's already enraged and you're still going, guess what? Here you go, biblical for the day. A soft word turns away wrath, right? You can't talk to yourself. So she kept chirping back, he kept chirping back, and then we saw Paige again. Chris, stop, Chris, sit down. But again, I digress. I'm not going to mess with Paige this whole episode of this review. But again, the guys was like, something we wouldn't have did. They talked about the dinner situation. And this is where I like Vincent came up. When they talked about the fight, and I'm jumping ahead on this, but
that's what I'm about to say. Yeah, they talked about this when they were all there as couples.
All the couples. They talked about the fight with Chris as well. Eric didn't want none of that. But again, they said Eric was standing up to leave.
Well, first of all, Eric said that I wasn't in a spot. Like, that's why I sat down, because I didn't want it to be like that. Mm-hmm. But when they said, we're leaving, and he got up, Vincent said what? Vincent
said that it seemed like he was approaching Chris instead of just backing away from the table, and Chris took that as a threat. It was miscommunication, and that's when Chris jumped up. Oh, like, you want some of this, bro? Basically. And that's the way you know.
Chris must have been in a fantasy world. I didn't see, unless it was the angle they showed, it didn't look at all like Eric was coming at him. It didn't look at all.
It didn't look at all. But, you know, Eric basically was like, you know, I don't want none of that. So, I mean, we wasn't trying to fight. You know, I wish him well. You know, let's move on.
And basically, you know, I want to say this. Eric was like, you know, I have a professional career. I have a level of decorum that I have to maintain. Like, I'm not going to, you know, put myself out there or ruin. Like
Chris ain't professional.
I was like,
no, like Chris doesn't have. I'm not saying Chris not professional. Like Chris doesn't have a professional career. He does have a professional career.
Or like he doesn't have a image to maintain or whatever. Like, you know, Eric was like, I have something to lose. Apparently he don't. Basically.
That's the way.
That's the way it came across. I was like, oh wow.
The way that it came across to us.
Oh wow.
The way they
maybe not to you. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we know they're not sending each other Christmas cards.
No,
I'm sure he's not in that group text.
Oh no. No, because that's one thing Vincent said too. He's like, you know, I hear both sides. Like, I'm here with these guys, and I, you know, I see how they feel. But I also talk to Chris, you know, so I see.
Yeah.
I hear what he has to say about the situation. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll move on. So after the guys, they talk to the experts.
Yes.
They bring the experts. This is the first time that all the experts are on the show.
That's what I'm
have
about
conversation.
To say.
They get to talk. So they're talking to Kevin Frazier speaks to all the experts about matches, and the experts say, you know, our goal is to get 5 out of 5, but guess what? We only got 3 this time.
Yeah. But you know, Dr. Pepper was like, they're happy about the 3 out of 5 they did get. They wish it would have been 5, but
I wish it had been 5. But again, the 3 they get, the 3 that they're happy and they're satisfied. They thought they matched them well. Again, Dr. Viviana said she doesn't want to talk about the couple. She talked about Chris. How Chris, again, on paper, he looked good.
Yeah, because like Pastor Cal said, you know, they didn't have a lot of surprises in the season, you know, particularly Chris and Paige. And he said still overall they felt like they made good matches, barring the 2 of them. And they explained why they matched them or whatever. But he said, you know, coming into it, you don't see all the pieces of the puzzle. And some stuff you don't see till people actually get together. Yeah. They don't really show the whole selves. But yeah, Dr. Viv said her greatest regret, it wasn't the couple, it was Chris. Mm-hmm. Because he was absolutely not who they thought he was. And Pastor Cal says that too. It's like, again, you never know how you see these people as singles, and you're hoping that as singles, the same behavior, attitude, personality they have as a single is what they'll take into the marriage, but that's not always the case. And they saw that with Chris.
He interviewed well. He's like the person who can get any job but never stay there. Mm-hmm. You know, they pass the interview to interview with flying colors, get to the job, and can't do it. And that's what he did. That's who he is. He interviewed very well. And Paige wasn't for him.
Dr. Pepper said their greatest triumph. She called Brianna and Vincent their greatest triumph. And then also she said Ryan and Clara. And she said the happiest couples started out as gangbusters. So really going into it, you know, with a good mindset, really trying to get to know each other, and really trying to connect. And I think it was Dr. Viv said the couple that found and received the help the most was Virginia and Eric, and they put it into practice.
Yeah, and I like what he said too about how they matched Champagne Vinny and Brianna because they really wanted her to help him, you know, come out of some of his insecurities, and him to help her because she is bossy. They knew that. They knew that she would have a strongness, but he needed that to help them come out, and that they took a lot of the advice as well from Dr. Viviana, that they used the advice that it was given to help them foster and grow their relationship. And that they knew, this is what I thought too was good. They knew Vinny was a prideful person. I liked how they thought. Proud person. They were very proud. They were very proud. And I like how they talked about that him being proud was not a negative thing, but it was a thing that Brianna could help him use to become more of who he is and who we see.
Well, the thing Dr. Pepper said was they knew he was a proud man, but there was no way they could have predicted how he would react when his pride got punctured.
Yeah,
and when he felt like he wasn't getting the respect that he felt that he deserved. That was the part that they were kind of surprised about. Like, wow, I didn't expect him to act like that.
Yeah, but
or to receive it like that.
Receive it, but then when Dr. V said she helped him with that, Brianna was able to kind of not walk on eggshells, but massage that when it got punctured. Whereas, like, you know what, Vincent, this is how we're gonna do things. I'm listening to you. Okay, I know that you're doing it just for me. You love me.
I don't. Oh no, don't take it like that.
Yeah, don't take it like that. To give him a little bit more confidence and reassurance that he still can feel like the champagne king.
Kevin asked, obviously he's asking him how you felt about each couple. So when it came to Hayley and Jacob, Pastor Cal said, seeing how that transpired, it was real tough. Like, they matched them together because they wanted Hayley to bring him out of his shell. Mm-hmm. And they wanted her to be bring him out of his shell and for him to have more fun. And as far as Hayley, to have her be more accepting and benefit from the stability that Jacob brought. But it was too hard for her to overcome his quirks. She just couldn't get over it.
But this is where they need to learn, because they do this all the time. There's one couple every show. That's why I think there would never ever be 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. Because they take people and expect somebody to bring somebody else out of their shell.
Yeah, and they try that opposite.
They try that opposite attract situation. There would never be 5 out of 5 when you keep trying to get opposite attract. That's not gonna happen, because again, Hayley was already set in her ways, and we're honest. Jacob was already set in his ways. Mm-hmm. At 39 years old, Jacob was set in his ways, and he wasn't going to change too much for Hayley.
Yeah. No, but he did, though. He did the clothes that she got,
for a minute.
No, he wore those clothes.
Yeah, but again, I'm not just talking about the outward change. I'm talking about some of the inner change. Some of the things that were consistent in his life that he always wanted. He didn't change his eating habit. He kept eating
Well, she didn't ask him to change.
She didn't ask him. She didn't ask him neither. Again, but there's some things he had in his mind. This is the last straw. Mm-hmm. So the opposite attract thing doesn't always work.
The one thing I like, Dr. Viv said that Jacob tried quite a bit. Like, Hayley tried to say she tried, but Dr. Viv said it. Jacob tried quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And she said she was surprised that he wasn't more upset or hurt by the rejection that he got from her. Because she did. He said it. At every turn she rejected. She didn't want to hold hands. She didn't want to lay in the bed. She didn't want to sleep in the room with him. She didn't want to give him a hug.
She didn't want to sit on an airplane with them from Vegas.
Yeah. And Dr. Pepper's like, obviously, we all know when you get hurt over and over and over again, like, that hurts. Or rejected over and over, that hurts. And it make you be like, you know what, forget it. Which he did.
He did. But he said something, too, that when they talked to him, he said that it's as if the rejection everything was fine. Well, he got rejected a lot off camera, but when the camera production crew came around, mm-hmm. she was ready to go. Like, okay, all right, I'm here.
And that's the part that irritated him.
He said that really irritated me. Like, you hadn't talked to me all this time off camera, and when production comes, you perk up and you ready to have a conversation.
Which you can obviously tell that from Jake, because when they had the scenes together, that's why he's like,
He's sitting there like, whatever. Like, girl, you just didn't talk to me for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, the crew was gone this weekend and you didn't say a word to me.
Yeah. So Pastor Cal was like, in between the two of them, and just period, when you come into a relationship, you have to change some to be successful. Yeah. You have to adapt to each other to be successful. And he felt like if Jacob could have relaxed more and had more fun instead of getting stuck on the lack of attraction, that they could have been okay.
Or had a better shot. Mm-hmm. They had a better shot, and Hayley wasn't so cold.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Pepper caught her cold.
She was. If she would at least open up a little bit. I don't know anybody who really don't like holding hands.
I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before. And the experts were thrown off because they, again, almost the same thing with Chris.
Yeah.
When they, in the vetting process, in the interview, she talked about how affectionate she was. And it's like, so which one is the truth? And Pastor Cowles basically was like, you know, I think it was Pastor Cowles, like, you know, I think it was my affections turned off because I don't like him.
The real Hayley, please stand up.
Yeah.
Please stand up. Which one is it? The Hayley, because look at her, she's totally different with the girls.
You have to, this is a process where, again, we've said this before, you're on Married at First Sight because what you did before wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I think early on, didn't her friend say, you have to give somebody a chance?
Yes.
You can't, and because that was her habit. She didn't give people a chance. And she didn't change that in this process. She didn't change this in this process. So, but yeah, like you said, she was totally different with the girls than she was with him because, again, she did what was par for course for her.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not into it, which, again, I must say it, is the same thing Chris said. Like he was telling his mom, you know how I am. When I don't really like something, I'm not going to put my effort into it. Hayley did the same thing.
She put enough effort to just say she tried. She did just enough. You know, it's like a kid in school. I'm doing just enough to get a C.
Yeah. In the end, they say, you know, after this, Hayley's going to have to look real deep into herself and try not to just get put off by the small things. Get past that. Mm-hmm. And the question is anybody going to be acceptable to her?
No. No, I don't think so. I think she's going to continue to be bridesmaids. Mm-hmm. To be bridesmaid in other people's weddings beside her own.
Yeah.
I think she's comfortable with that. I think she does not really to commit to that. You don't think I have a special guy to be with her, so.
As far as Virginia and Eric, Kevin asked the experts, like, okay, what was the process there? And Pastor Cal said, based on her family history, she needed somebody that was stable.
Yeah.
They felt like it would be some challenges there, but his stability, and if they could get over their differences, their political differences, particularly, that they would be all right.
And yeah, the political one was a big one. They showed a scene again where they were talking to Pastor Cal about that. You know, some of the injustice situations that.
It's hard. Social issues are hard.
Social issues are hard.
Deal with
I just don't deal with them. Again, you're part of the problem. If you don't deal with it or even address it or even talk about it, you're part of the problem. Because you're not willing to see from the other person's point of view or perspective. Because if you never deal with it or have a conversation, that's the problem now. No one's willing to have the conversation. And no one willing to sit down and discuss, okay, this is the issue, this is the problem, how can we alleviate the problem? And we saw that in their relationship. He never really wanted to sit down with Virginia and discuss the issues. He wanted it his way. And that's what's the issue there. That was the problem that was going on. You can't have it. Seen from The Wire, I'm a big Wire fan. And Marlo was in there, and Marlo Stanfield was talking to the security guard outside the restaurant, outside of the store. And he said, and the guard was like, you want it one way. Marlo told the dude, said, you just want it one way, huh? And that's what Eric wanted. Eric wanted the relationship one way, his way, and nobody else's. And that's why he always gave her all the ultimatums, because he wanted it his way, and he wasn't willing to compromise or see it from her perspective. Yeah,
but Dr. Viv said, you know, there are couples who don't completely agree on everything 100%, but you have to, in order to be successful, like you have to work on that. You have to communicate about it. You have to talk about it. You have to work through it. So Pastor Cal said that as far as the children thing, like Kevin was like, you know, but what about them with the kids? Like they didn't agree on that. And Pastor Cal was like, they were hoping that the fact that he came from a very stable family, and she didn't. Just being connected and being in a family, in that what change her when it comes to her ideas and how she thought. You know, just being around would change her thinking.
Yes, to see a stable family, to see Eric's family, because they're pretty stable. They do things together. Mom is kind of, you know, in control. Dad does things there well, but also to see her sister's family being stable would help her as well. So yeah, they wanted to see the family, and Mom's gonna bring her in to teach Virginia some things. I don't want to say it this way. That's not Teach her how to be a Southern lady.
Right.
To be a Southern lady in 21st century in 2021.
So then they focus on, Clara and Ryan, and Dr. Viv said with them, they talked about, the sex issue. How did you feel about that? And Dr. Viv was like, her main thing was that Claire wasn't sharing how she felt. Mm-hmm. Because she said they don't expect, that's not at the expectation that the couples will have sex. If they do or if they don't, that's fine. But they have to be able to communicate about it and kind of be on the same page when it comes to that. And all of them have to be a part of both of them have to be a part of the process.
All of them. I'm just kidding.
Both of them have to be a part of the process. If we're going to go slow, if that's the pace we're going to go, everybody has to be in agreement with it. The two of them have to be in agreement with it. Since you try to make it sound like I'm talking about thruples.
It's sister wives and all this other stuff. Anyway.
Which I'm not. But yeah, Kevin told the experts that, Ryan actually shared when he talked to them that he told Clara, "I love you." And Dr. Pepper was like, well, and all the experts were like, we knew he loved her. He obviously felt that before he said it. It was just like,
he couldn't get the words out of his mouth. I mean, Kevin prompted it. I'm still like some of you guys. I'm still mad if Kevin doesn't prompt it. Does he say it? I don't think so.
No, I don't think he.
I don't think if Kevin doesn't prompt him to make him say, kind of put him in a predicament, he doesn't say it.
Yeah, and like Dr. Pepper said, it's like he had the word love on this pedestal. You're doing it. You're feeling it. You just didn't say it. Pastor Cal says what they need to do is they need to keep communicating and keep being vulnerable. And he feels like now the cameras are gone, they have a good chance of being successful.
Oh, they're going to be successful. She's not going anywhere.
Her name is Clara Oubre on her Instagram. As soon as she could.
She loves that dude.
Changed.
She's not going anywhere. They work well together. The cameras are going to be out of their life so they can just live themselves and show us what they want to show us. They're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. They'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Until they start having kids and going to church.
And so they went back still and touched on the Chris and Paige thing. Kevin was telling them how, they came in as a united front or whatever, but when they had to share, like he shared I hate to call it the scene where Pastor Cal and Chris are talking and all these white queens and Hispanic queens and black queens and you give me this and like
why they keep showing it? Every time I watch that I cringe because
but Pastor Cal said that he was like, I have to be professional and in it you kind of have to separate your emotional response, but he said I was not ready to hear that. I was like whew, that was hard hearing that, but I have to listen to him. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, good Lord. But he said, and him and Dr. Viv basically Chris wasn't ready for that kind of commitment. Dr. Viv said I absolutely, at times, wanted to yank her out of it. But I can't, like Pastor Cal said, we can't be mad for Paige if she's not mad herself.
We can't be mad for her.
Dr. Viv was like, I can't pull her out of it if she's still trying to be in it.
She's still trying to be in it.
Till she like the prodigal son come to herself.
Yeah, she still is in it. We all know that she realized and she eventually came to herself at the reunion part 2.
Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Pepper felt like in response to Kevin's question, like they could tell she had some things going on that there was some brokenness there, but Dr. Pepper said, I've never seen anybody come into it with as much commitment as Paige had.
Yeah, they were committed to her for her stick-to-itness, her standing there, being...
Her commitment to God, yes.
Commitment to God, but commitment to the marriage as well, though. She was committed to trying to make this thing work. Whether right, wrong, or indifferent, she was committed to trying to make this thing with Chris work. Even after he brought the car from Mercedes. Even after he brought Mercedes into her presence. She said she wasn't happy about it. All the things that he did, she was still trying to be committed to him in the process. So, and to God.
Yeah.
The Lord.
So that was the whole thing. Just like we said before, they said Chris presented well, but it just didn't come out like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he might have fooled all of us. Yeah. And as far as, again, that clip, he told the experts, like, he didn't have any particular preferences, but he obviously did have an idea of what he felt like beauty was. And if that's how you come into the process, then this is not it for you.
Not it. I mean, at that point, he didn't want Paige. So, with more.
Yeah. And we've already talked about some of this, when all the couples sit down together. Paige also said
she's by herself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Paige wished that she wasn't there by herself, that Chris would be there to stand up for himself and speak for himself.
She used to be by herself. Everything they did all season, majority, except for Vegas, I mean, she was by herself. Mm-hmm. You know, so she should be used to it by now.
Mm-hmm. How did they deal with the social media, you know, with them being on social media? Vincent said the craziest one he heard was how people were going in about him and the stripper.
Look.
And he was like, I'm over it. I don't want to talk about it.
Vinny wanted that stripper that night. Whether it was because of alcohol or he felt like this is my last night being married. I don't care what he says. He wanted that stripper. She's like, what if I walked down the aisle and I was your wife?
He's like, I'd be happy.
I'll be happy.
But he was like, he got so tired of the comments about that. Like, he didn't want to talk about it that night.
Brianna laughed. She thought it was funny.
Yeah. Jacob's thing was, he loved reading the comments. He said, I get a kick out of it. He said the best one he heard was, they called him Tim Tebow on MAFS. I'm like, what? Brianna said it was weird watching herself on TV. And just like probably a lot of us would have, you start criticizing yourself. Why do I look like that? Why did I make that face? Or why did I say that like that?
Why I started chewing like that?
Yeah. She said everything was like, it gave you a lot of time to self-reflect. Mm-hmm. And Paige said reliving it was re-traumatizing to her. You know, she got an avalanche of calls, and like her Thursday therapy session was all about the episode that came on that night because it rehashed her feelings in the moment.
She's had to say, look, I'm going to just translate this. I have to take Thursday off to go to therapy all day.
Basically.
Paige like, I'm in therapy all day on Thursday. Therapy is like she's seeing all 3 therapists on Thursday.
Yeah. Claire and Ryan. Claire said she took a step back from watching it. Ryan did too. And the thing that Claire wanted everybody to know was, and she said this in response to one of the questions, I think, was just it was her closing thought. Yeah. Just to remind everybody to be kind to people because they are real people. Because some of the things that they read or people said about them was hurtful, and you forget they're not actors on a show. Like, this is their real life. And you're criticizing, critiquing people, and you know that's hard to handle. So you should be nice.
Yeah, it's hard to handle, but they signed up for some of that stuff. You know that everybody's not gonna like you when you sign up for these reality shows.
Yeah, but we all know some people, they are what's the word I want to say? Like,
they get invested.
You in your house and you a therapist, you a self-made therapist, or you know whatever thing you want to say, you want to just be severely critical of people, and it's probably somebody that, like, I don't want to call nobody out, but you know, it's you probably ain't got nothing going on yourself, but you're talking about me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people like that. What they call them, keyboard assassins or warriors. Yeah. You know, you sit behind your computer at home and talk yak about people, but you ain't worth a nickel worth of nothing. And
it's a difference by giving you an objective
Not
opinion.
y'all, that's genuine though.
It's different. No, but it's a difference though by giving you objective opinion or liking to watch reviews or whatever the case may be, and the people who are lashing out, who's demeaning somebody's character, who's calling somebody ugly, who's calling somebody stupid, who's calling somebody doing self-esteem, just saying, you know, stuff that is just off the wall towards these people. Now that's the issue. You know, that's the issue.
Yeah, and Ryan said it was tough for him to watch for sure. And all this time, again, like I said before, we thought his thing was for sure. But it's actually, that's my jam. And they showed, I swear, about 20 clips of Ryan talking about, that's my jam. That's not really my jam. That's my jam. And Claire was like, I guess I'm getting to the point where I'm Ryan's jam.
Yeah. Yo, he just loved the word jam. Teddy jam for me now.
They started having a conversation about what was some hard no's for them. The weird thing, like Eric said he didn't want Virginia to see him pee, and Kevin's like, by the time you have kids and you be married in this thing for a while, everybody be to saw you pee, even if your back is turned. Yeah, they're gonna see you pee.
But he can just dry up when he see a pee. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, and we already touched on the fact that they talked about the argument, the disagreement at, in Vegas and everything that happened on the van. So they just talked about that again. And so
they got some special questions.
Yeah, they did. That was cute. Let's see. Who had the first question?
Dionne and Greg had the first one. They asked Virginia and Eric.
No, Miles actually asked Paige,
yes,
how is she taking care of herself? And she said, with therapy, talking to her family and friends, and writing. And again, she's doing a lot of self-reflection. Mm-hmm. And then
Dionne and Greg. Dionne said, I'm a dog lover. I had Sandy, and Greg really wasn't a dog person when we first met. So, Virginia, who do you love more? Rocky or Eric?
And Virginia's like, well,
who would you pick, Rocky or Eric?
I mean, Eric's a big boy, and he can take care of himself, but Rocky can't. And they were like, are you picking the dog over your husband?
Everybody was like, the dog? Of course, y'all knew the answer. It's like, it's an open book test. You knew the answer to that. She was picking that dog. That dude may be married. They might be 6 months in, but it's still Rocky here, Eric here. I told you a couple weeks ago.
I promise you, as much as you think Rocky can't take care of himself, put a dog outside in the wild, because animals are animals. They have instincts. He will find a way to take care of himself.
Yeah.
Trust and believe that. I think she forgot that about animals. Yeah. Because dogs are so domesticated, believe me, instinct will kick in. They'll find something to eat. They'll find some place to stay warm. They will.
Yeah.
Shawnee's had a question to Clara. Are you a member of the Mile High Club?
And she was like, girl.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You see them bathrooms?
Bathrooms are nasty. I don't know why people do that.
Bathrooms. First of all, I don't know how you can do that in that little small bathroom in the airplane. I'm a big dude.
Yeah, Kevin was like, yeah, no, I don't know how people do that either. That's just.
I mean, if you're on a private jet, something like that, that's a whole different thing. But when
still,
a commercial,
I still figure the bathroom ain't but so big. It's bigger than a commercial.
But even in a private jet, you ain't gotta use the bathroom. Just you on a jet by yourself, you and your spouse, or you and whoever.
Oh yeah, to get it in. But I'm talking about. I was thinking about like actually how a bathroom is structured. Period.
I was talking about getting the Mile High Club thing on a private jet.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Not on a commercial airliner.
But on a private jet, I'm sure it's gonna be a whole lot not less nasty, like the structure. But it's still a bathroom. And like you said, you got all this private jet space.
Yeah, all this private jet space. Have at it. Yeah, you gotta get a bathroom on a private jet.
Woody asked Hayley what she learned about herself. And she said she did a lot of self-reflection. She grew up a lot, got in touch with how she feels more, got more comfortable talking about certain things.
Yeah. Not everything.
And so Amani asked Eric, is this a good process or the best process for somebody that's been divorced? And
he was like, I've been divorced for 3 years, so it's kind of new to him. So he was willing to commit to the process being with Virginia. So,
and he said it could go either way, depending on where the divorced person is at. Mm-hmm. It could be good, it could be bad, being that they've been married before. Christine asked the funniest question. Brianna, does Vincent talk dirty to you in Spanish or English? And Brianna said both.
But she
said she prefers
for Spanish. And so in my house, Google does a lot of things. So we started playing with Google. And so Google started saying a lot of stuff in Spanish.
But Google is very correct. So, like, hey Google, how do you say do you want to do it in Spanish? It's like literally like doing something, not it.
Yeah, so don't mind us. We're silly. So we're silly.
I don't know how that's done.
Let's just try to answer down. But anyway, Elizabeth had a question for Jacob. She asked, of course you know Elizabeth. She said, I have a real serious question to ask you. It's so serious and I want a real serious answer. Like, have you had basic Caucasian sex? You had to know that was going to come from Elizabeth because that's her thing. BCS. Basic Caucasian sex.
In the sauna.
In the sauna. And he was like, I haven't had no relations.
In the sauna.
Basic Caucasian or wild. No sex in the sauna.
No sex in the sauna whatsoever.
No sex in the champagne room.
But he should have said I had no sex in the sauna. I had no sex in the 80s.
But we don't know that, no. He might have.
Hold on.
He just did with Hayley.
He just said, he could have said, that's my point. He could have said I had no sex in the sauna, nor did I have sex with Hayley. Well, he did have sex with Hayley. Sorry.
Once.
I forgot about it. So did he. But anyway.
So then so then they had their final words, which I mentioned before. Clara's final words was, just be kind to people because you don't know them. You don't know us personally. You see us on TV. We're not actors. We're real people.
Real people.
So be kind. Paige said it was a very emotional and painful process. And she had to acknowledge the toxicity that was there and choose herself. And so she encouraged people.
She needs to go somewhere for a while.
To choose herself. Yeah, she don't need to deal with nobody no time soon. I'm sure it's a whole lot of guys trying to come at her.
Try to come in those DMs. She needs to just relax.
Yeah.
Go see pastoral counseling, some emotional counseling, some whatever counseling she's in, whatever they have emotionally, physically. She needs all that to just debrief and be around family and friends and enjoy their love and their company.
Yeah. And Virginia's final thing was that she's glad that they went through the process and they went through it together. Yeah. That she was with that group of people, that she loved everybody. And she hoped, her hope, which the experts said to, well, I don't know if the experts said it, but I think that's what they were trying to get at. She said she was hoping that people learned from them. Learn things from them, whether it's what to do, what not to do, or how not to act if you ever get on Married at First Sight.
I guarantee you that people watching this season of Married at First Sight learned a lot.
I ain't doing that.
Learned a lot of things. People in relationships learned a lot of things. I mean, you watch the show, you can see yourself in some people, and you can see your relationship or relationships that you have been in, and some people, and so you be like, you know what, girl, that don't work. Dude, that ain't it. Vincent, dog, don't be walking on eggshells, Brianna. You better get it right. Hey, come on, Jacob. Tell her how you really feel. Hayley, stop having drunk sex. Whatever case, Virginia girl, you drank too much. You can't be doing that. Can't be sleeping on people's couches, which the guys talked about too. Yeah. Like, oh well, we're not really on the couch thing, but if she's drunk and you let her come home. Look, again, no really man is gonna let his wife continue to sleep on somebody else's couch. Right. Another dude's couch too many nights. But I really enjoyed this season. I know some people thought this season was a train wreck. I think this season gave us a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
This season gave us a lot to talk about abusive relationships, mentally manipulation, mental health, self-esteem about yourself, how to be able to overcome anxiety and fears. We saw Vincent overcome some fears, the horse situation, and being on TV. We saw people handling relationship, how to handle sexual frustration in the right manner. So different things of that nature.
Not trying to use sex to connect with somebody.
Yes, not trying to use sex to connect with somebody. So you've seen a lot of things. We learned a lot of things from this season. Was it at time the most drama-filled season? Of course, it was a lot of drama. Was it? This was the best season for our ratings ever in Married at First Sight. So whether you like Chris or not, you didn't like Chris. Guess what? You couldn't turn him off. We watched them every week. We watched Chris and Paige. We even called it the Chris and Paige show for a minute until they took them off of TV. So whatever it is, season 12, I like season 12 for the talking points. I like the couples from season 12. Wish everybody would have worked out, but just like I said earlier, we're not going to ever get 5 couples to actually work out.
Yeah,
the show is not built for that. Houston, July 21st. So we're not going anywhere. We're still going to be doing reviews. We're Ready to Love. You can check those out. Couple Cam next week. We'll be doing a review there for those shows as well. Hey, so we're still Married at First Sight Invested, Ready to Love Invested. Thank you guys for tuning in with us for this season of Married at First Sight episode, season 12. But we're not done yet because we have Sunday night. Well, I have Sunday night. Sorry. I have Sunday night with Little Black Book.
Duty Call.
With August Love Story with
So
Stephanie Lee. Man, with Talisa Ray. Make sure you check us out at Little Black Book 91's YouTube page, Sunday night, 7 p.m. as we have our last U.S. Task Force of Married at First Sight.
Y'all make sure y'all keep him in line.
Season 12. I am ready to go. I've got notes. I've got notes. I have notes ready for this weekend.
I won't be there to grab his leg.
She won't be there to grab my leg this weekend, but I am ready. I am ready for this episode because we got a lot of things we want to talk about again with the rest of the YouTubers that we deal with on Married at First Sight.
So make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all like and subscribe.
Yes.
Okay, us, and then we're going to give a shout out to them too. Make sure you go like and subscribe to Lisa Ray, August Love Story, Little Black Book 91, and Stephanie Lee at I Am Successfully Me. And make sure you tune in on Sunday, even though I won't be there. Yep. But you can still tune in.
Still tune in. Make sure you subscribe to us. Again, guys in the chat, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. And also let us know, would you like to see us do this live one day so we can respond back to you live as well? All right. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you down the road.
Bye.
Bye.